Hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar on management of Artemia resources of the Great Salt Lake in Utah, USA. We've got some great presentations coming up for you today. I'm Simon Wilkinson from the network of aquaculture centres in Asia Pacific. NACA was one of the co-organisers of the SDG-aligned Artemia Aquaculture Workshop, which was held in September last year, and I'll be your moderator today. So our program today will start with an introduction by Patrick Sorgeloos, then Thomas Bostiels and Timothy Hawke are going to alternate between historical and stakeholder issues and the development of the policy and legal framework that have made it possible to sustainably manage the Great Salt Lake. So let's start. I would like to give our floor to our first speaker, Professor Patrick Sorgeloos, who will give us an introduction to the aims of the webinar. Patrick, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon, and it is my pleasure to give a brief introduction for this webinar. Next slide, please. And I'd like to introduce to you the International Artemia Aquaculture Consortium. This is an idea that was generated in November 2019, one of the last conferences that we could attend with the people that you see sitting there around the table. And when we were following up on this idea and initiative, the Food and Agriculture Organization was quite interested to see some review on what has been accomplished with Artemia over the period since the first FAO technical conference in Kyoto, Japan. You see that we had identified a number of let's say, recommendations. Next slide. We had the opportunity at the Global Conference on Aquaculture. Next slide, please. To report about the setting up of, one slide back, please. Yeah, to report about the informal consortium that we had set up, and as you can see, with quite a number of stakeholders from the research sector, but also from the private sector. And it is this group that, in fact, wanted to evaluate and see what are the opportunities to consolidate the role of Artemia in aquaculture, and at the same time see that its use can be more sustainable. Next slide. At the Global Conference on Aquaculture organized by FAO, the Chinese government, and NACA in September 2021, we had the opportunity to organize an international workshop called the SDG-aligned Artemia Aquaculture Workshop, where a number of very specific recommendations were formulated. I will not go through the list, you see it here, but I draw your attention to the one highlighted in red: develop science-based protocols to assure sustainable harvesting of wild Artemia sources. And in fact, during the Artemia workshop at the Global Conference on Aquaculture, there was a short presentation by Thomas Bostiels, and apparently there was a lot of interest in the way and the procedures and the approach that had been taken. So this will be the intention, next slide, this will be the intention of this workshop, to go into more detail. And if you want to find more information on the SDG-aligned Artemia workshop I was just referring to, but also to a number of other activities that have been organized so far, you can go to the website and find the information there. Thank you.